Hi everyone, in this week's dispatch video we are answering a live client question that was asked this week in relation to an ongoing redundancy exercise and specifically the role of individuals within the process and separating out the independence of certain individuals. So the question in this case was, can a manager who has undertaken a scoring exercise of employees also then be involved in handling all of the meetings in the consultation exercise? So often in a case where we are selecting maybe one person to go from a group of three, we will need to undertake a selection exercise. That can be done with a scoring matrix, or it can be done with interviews for any positions which are remaining. But there needs to be some sort of fair and objective system of selecting the poorest scoring candidate to be dismissed by reason of redundancy. The crucial factor here is that the Employment Rights Act, when determining fairness, doesn't go particularly far in dictating what has to be done. So there is a discretion for employers to determine what is fair and what isn't in certain circumstances. However, the size and administrative resources of the employer in each case is taken into account by the tribunal. And what that means is that in a larger organisation where there is a chunkier management structure and more managers who can assist in the process, it would generally be expected that the manager closest to the employee who can judge performance and other objective criteria would undertake the scoring exercise. But again, in a larger organisation, it would be expected that that scoring is then passed to a separate individual who does have independence, who can then run the consultation meetings and feedback on the scores. The idea there is that if the employee then challenges those scores, it's open to the manager to go back to the colleague who undertook the scoring and to come up with his own objective view on whether or not those scores are being justifiably challenged and whether they need to be adjusted as a result. The risk otherwise is that there could be an element of bias in the consultation exercise, particularly if the scoring manager is the one leading the proposals within his team. As I say, in a much smaller organisation, that might simply not be possible. And in that case, it might be more reasonable to suggest that the manager who undertakes the scoring also leads the consultation meetings. The other two possibilities are that we have a second manager who reviews the scores themselves, and perhaps then one of those two individuals runs the consultation. Or secondly, that the scoring manager actually comes into the consultation meeting, so any challenges that the employee puts can be discussed in that live environment. The main takeaway is to consider the personnel that we potentially have available, and the larger the organisation, the greater expectation that we will be as independent as possible in using separate personnel during the process. But there is a degree of flexibility there, and ultimately the employer's actions are judged as a whole when determining fairness, and the legislation is not overly prescriptive in terms of what reasonableness is and what it amounts to. If you do need any assistance on redundancy matters or anything relating to employment law generally, please do get in touch. Visit the website chadwicklawrence.co.uk or email employmenthub@chadlaw.co.uk. Thank you.